Loving one's family is a fundamental aspect of human relationships, and it is an essential teaching of Jesus Christ. According to Jesus, loving one's family is not just a moral obligation, but a divine commandment that is rooted in God's nature and character. In the Bible, Jesus emphasizes the importance of loving one's family, and he teaches that this love is a reflection of God's love for humanity. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "Honor your father and mother and love your neighbor as yourself." Matthew 22:37-40. This commandment is not just a social or cultural norm, but a divine requirement that is rooted in God's law. Jesus teaches that loving one's family is a way of honoring God, and it is a fundamental aspect of living a righteous and holy life. By loving one's family, individuals demonstrate their commitment to God's commandments and their desire to live according to God's will. Furthermore, Jesus teaches that loving one's family is not limited to biological relationships. In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus says, "Who are my mother and my brothers?" Mark 3:33. He then looks around at the crowd and says, "Here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does God's will is my brother and sister and mother." Mark 3:34-35. This teaching emphasizes that loving one's family is not just about biological ties, but about spiritual relationships and a shared commitment to God's will. In addition, Jesus teaches that loving one's family requires sacrifice and selflessness. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus says, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple." Luke 14:26. This teaching may seem harsh, but it emphasizes the importance of prioritizing one's relationship with God above all else, including family relationships. Jesus is not teaching that we should hate our families, but rather that we should be willing to pick God's will above our own desires and interests, even if it means sacrificing our family relationships. Jesus also teaches that loving one's family is a way of showing love and compassion to those in need. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that?" Matthew 5:46. This teaching emphasizes that loving one's family is not just about showing affection to those who are close to us, but about showing love and compassion to those who are in need, including the poor, the marginalized, and the oppressed. In the book of 1 John, the Apostle John writes, "Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God." 1 John 4:7. This teaching emphasizes that loving one's family is a reflection of God's love and character. When we love our families, we demonstrate our understanding of God's nature and character, and we reflect God's love to the world. In conclusion, loving one's family is a fundamental teaching of Jesus Christ. According to Jesus, loving one's family is a divine commandment that is rooted in God's nature and character. It requires sacrifice, selflessness, and a commitment to God's will. By loving our families, we demonstrate our love for God and our desire to live according to God's commandments. We also reflect God's love to the world and show love and compassion to those in need. Ultimately, loving one's family is not just a moral obligation, but a divine requirement that is essential for living a righteous and holy life. As Christians, we are called to love our families with the same love and compassion that God has shown us, and to reflect God's love to the world.